All right, good evening, everybody. This is the Village of New Paltz Planning Board meeting, Tuesday, November 17th, 2015. And we have two public hearings this evening, a pre-application discussion, several ongoing applications, a new application, and a couple of other items. One item we're revisiting, a subdivision that we approved a while ago needs an extension, discussion about stormwater law, and then a few administrative items. And then if everything goes smoothly, we'll have an executive session to discuss one item. Okay, so, no, just for a particular thing. Okay, our first public hearing is for PB 1502, 16 North Chestnut Street, the Goodwill Evangelical Church. Is there anybody? First thing is, I'd like to open a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
A second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody here to speak for or against, or any opinions about this application? Okay. So before we close it, I just want to explain, because this is in a landmark building, we need to do a full part 2 of the environmental assessment form. So we'll have to go through those items. I'm hoping that we can do that tonight when we get to that on the agenda. We do have now, I was just informed that we now have the easement that we requested for parking. So other than some site plan discussions and probably a final version of the site plan, I'm not sure that there's anything else that's outstanding at this point. So unless anybody has a disagreement with that, I'll ask that we close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The second public hearing is PB 1518, 8791 Main Street. And I would make a motion that we open that public hearing.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, anybody here to speak on that public hearing? Where is everybody? Okay, hearing nothing, make a motion to close that public hearing.
So moved.
And a second? Second. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Great. I like that. Now, public comment from anybody who has been chafing at the bit and wants to speak about something other than the public hearings. Okay, nothing there. So, I'm going to ask that perhaps we move a couple of things around at the planning board's request. We have two ongoing application items that are relatively quick. I'm wondering if we could handle the first two, PB 1513 and PB 1518, before we do the pre-application and the 16 North Chestnut. Is everybody okay
Happy
with
to
that?
do that, yep.
Okay, great. Now, actually, take that back. We did get a call from Floyd Niffen, so we have to hold off on PB 1513 for the moment. So let's go to Mike Becks. You want to come up, Mike?
Sure.
Okay, great. How you doing?
Good.
Good, thanks. It's been a busy week. It's just Tuesday. Okay.
Extend 5 minutes busier.
Oh, no. Just, that wasn't a come on. Okay, so for this application, we have received the boundary line easement, which we got today, and our attorney's looked at it and he's fine with that. I understand that you got some information from Gordon Fire Company, but as far as our attorney goes, that he felt that was more of an issue ultimately between you and the building inspector. To make sure that works out. I mean, to the extent that it was raised by the planning board, we can discuss it, but It's not, for instance, part of the resolution, so I don't. Anyway, why don't you bring us up to date?
So since the last meeting, I had the site plan map revised,
Okay.
which I brought copies by late this afternoon. I don't know if they were circulated. And they
I think they were here.
basically they removed the original map had the possibility of an easement or a site boundary revision. So he removed the boundary revision
Okay.
option and removed the easement.
Right.
That is the most significant change to that.
Good.
And other than that, I think that's what we need. Do you have any other questions for me?
Start with you, Liz. Any questions at this point?
No, I'm pretty clear in my understanding of what you're after.
Okay. Rich?
No.
Rich?
Yeah. No, the answers to the first meeting around lighting and all that stuff seems to, if those prevail today, then that's all that I would have had questions about.
That there are no changes?
No changes to lighting and the usage of the space we talked about, and I think all the questions that I would have had got answered last meeting.
All right, and you and I had a conversation, just to bring them up to speed, about the facade, the parapet in the front, and
Yeah.
you're amenable to designing that in such a way that it will provide, with some aesthetic consideration, so that we don't have, if you need to break up the mass or make it
Right.
pointed or something of that sort, and that's a detail you can work out with the building inspector.
Okay.
All right, is that, everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then with that, let me make sure I have the latest resolution in here. Christina?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Right. Too many versions. All right, so, let me read the resolution, and we can make a motion. So just outlines the details. The October 20th, we received the application for site plan approval to raise the parapet and roof and to extend the roof at 8791 Main Street. To manage stormwater that's been collecting in the area between adjacent buildings and in the parking lot and causing damage to the roof in the building. Determined that we didn't need to send this to the Ulster County Planning Board, that the application is a type 2 application and exempt from any further seeker review. This was a duly noticed public hearing held tonight, opened and closed properly, and we have received from you an easement signed by you and the neighboring property owner, and you have submitted evidence that the exhaust for the restaurant will be located, I didn't think this was on here, sufficiently above the new roof to comply with fire code. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved that the application of Michael Beck for site plan approval to raise the parapet and roof and to extend the roof at 8791 Main Street in the B2 district is hereby approved, subject to submission of an easement done allowing the roof extension to extend over. This is not the most recent one, by the way. And payment of all fees in escrow. I am hereby authorized to sign the site plan upon satisfaction of said conditions. That's the motion. Somebody?
So moved.
A second?
Second?
Excellent. Any more discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
So, talk to Bryant tomorrow, and I will sign this, either the plans tonight, and so
Okay.
Bryant's here tomorrow, as far as we know.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
great. Thanks,
All right.
Mike.
Thank
We were
you
able
all
to help
very
you.
much. I
Sure.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Christine, I'll give you that back. We'll make sure we have the.
You have it in your folder.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's just me.
No, that's fine. No sweat. All right. Okay. So, without Floyd here yet, let's move on to the pre-application, PB 1520. Richard? Sylvia joining you? I think we should wait, because I really need her to be here.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so, would you guys like to come up then?
Sure.
All right, so we'll do PB 1502, 16 North Chestnut Street. How are you all doing? Okay, so we've done the public hearing, and why don't you guys bring us up to date?
We didn't have easements ready earlier until a couple days ago, so now we have.
Okay.
Here.
So,
Submit PDFs tomorrow.
okay, does anybody want to look at this during this discussion, or? I'm, right, I mean, we're
Take
not,
it.
this isn't something we're gonna cover today. So I'm gonna give these to you, and you can, when you get the PDF tomorrow, then we can hold that and put that together in a packet for the next meeting. Okay,
We've also revised the signage information to show that we are not showing any logos on the Route 32 side,
okay,
the Chestnut Street side, and now we're under conformance we're under the signage requirements for the village.
okay. I'm gonna turn this around.
Yeah, I need to speak up. This is actually a synopsis of that, just to show that we're in compliance with the items for both the
Okay,
Cat Street and the North Chestnut Street facade and the combined total as well.
this looks familiar.
I revised it, it was
Oh,
on
you
the site
revised
plan
it.
before, and then I
Okay.
revised it, so it's actually a new version.
Okay, all right, so you'll make sure that this.
It's actually on the site plan that I'm revising
Oh,
now as
okay,
well.
great.
And it'll be part of the
All right.
package, but I want to let you see it,
Pass
so it's
it
easier
to
for
me.
you to see it now.
Okay, did any of you need to see that in a moment?
No, you follow.
Okay, we'll do the follow-up.
It'll
All
be
right.
part of the site plan that's getting submitted as well.
Okay,
Okay, now on the site, if I can actually move it.
yeah, why don't you bring that up?
I'm just going to bring this over.
Will you be sending all this by PDF?
Yes,
as well? Thank
so I
you.
could be doing this. Basically, what we've done is add a new wood dumpster enclosure note, here that's approximately 6 by 10 to match existing fence.
Okay.
At this location, it's the existing bollards, because we're not restricting the throat of the drive on this side any more than the bollards.
Okay,
That's what it is, we set up that location. I believe Dave has also asked for a bicycle rack, which we've provided adjacent to the dumpster enclosure, because again, it's not restricting the path of travel for
Okay, good.
any vehicles at that location. Those were two of the items that were kind of requested previously. I think there were some questions on the parking, which I think we clarified previously. I'm not sure if that was totally obvious as far as the parking requirements that were under the requirements of what's within 1,000 feet of the facility,
Mhm.
beyond the 14 spots we're providing with the easement for the next door property.
okay. And that property provides you with, I forget, 14?
14.
Okay, 14 spaces.
And our total is, or the total requirement is 44.
Right, okay. And so as far as the enclosure goes, so that's gonna retain a single dumpster?
Yes, a single
Or-
dumpster.
And then the grease dumpster, you're gonna
Grease
have
dumpster
removed?
hasn't been shown on this, it will.
You're gonna
yeah,
have that
be
removed, okay.
Yes. It's not intended to remain.
Right. All right, and as I mentioned to you downstairs, the Historic Preservation Commission met last night. I don't know, were you all represented there?
We weren't there.
Okay. So they expressed in an email an interest in just getting the information about the enclosure materials. So when we actually get the site plan from you, we'll make sure that that gets forwarded to them.
I can copy them as well, because I believe we sent them some things
Okay.
directly previously.
In terms of timing, then, I'll have to get back to you about whether or not they need to meet formally, because they only meet once a month, and I'm not sure they even meet in December. So, given your what you're trying to accomplish,
Mhm.
we can discuss whether they actually have to meet for that or how they'll handle that. But they've addressed all of the other issues, I think, related
Yes.
to the exterior and.
Can they give us guidance on something like that? That might be helpful to be able to assist in terms of our preempting that or their need to meet over that? Would they be able to give us guidance in terms of what they look for in terms of specs?
Well, we can start with
Materials.
what you've opted for, which is to use the same fencing materials as the background fence.
And also wood, which I think is their
Yeah.
request as well.
So, if they have any additional, the answer is yes,
Yeah.
but why don't we give them what you've suggested first?
Okay.
Um,
I believe those were the open questions, to my
Okay.
understanding, from the draft notes I had.
You want to start?
So the easement that's been presented would give us the specifics of the address of the 14 spaces and the agreement that
Yes.
exists between? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll,
There's 3 copies there if you wanted one of those. yeah.
great, okay. That would be my only question, it seemed to be
Okay.
the outstanding item.
You had some. Chip out.
Well, I was just hoping to still run by, I still question that idea on the handicapped accessibility,
Okay.
that your main service area is not handicapped accessible.
Right.
And that's, doesn't have to comply with the law.
Not as per New York State Building Code for the size of the square footage of the upstairs and the downstairs. It does not. There's an exception that allows you not to provide an elevator for that location. Unless you're a medical facility, we're not a medical facility. That's one of the.
It's on a by-floor basis, so that,
You have to, no, it's a floor, you have to do the aggregate floor, the floor above and below.
so what
And
is,
there's only
what
one floor
would the
below.
threshold be then for?
3,000 square feet.
And
If
that
we're
building
over
does
3.
not exceed 3,000
No, it's
square feet?
one floor is 3,000, or the aggregate area, the floor is beyond the one floor. So if we had 3 floors, it'd be 2 floors added together. With 2 floors, you're adding just the 1 floor, and the 3,000 are underneath the 3,000.
Okay.
I think we offered it last time, I think it was in the minutes, that we could offer the narrative of that, if that's what you're looking for, so you can see what we're referencing from the building code.
Well, I thought I'd asked for it from our attorney, and I was just checking to see whether we got an answer on that.
Okay.
It just, it seems to me that a 3,000 square foot building should be handicap accessible.
Well, the exception allows for under 3,000, we're just under 3,000. For the aggregate, the way they compute it, for the floor above or below the aggregate of that. And we're the 1 floor below, we're below 3,000.
Because of the downstairs.
Yes.
But for the main floor, you're not.
No, I have to give you the exact wording so you can see it. It's the aggregate of the floor above and below of the main floor. You put that together to see if you need the elevator. We only have 1 floor above or below, so you just use that 1 square footage from the 1 floor beyond the floor of your main use. I can send the narrative tomorrow if you'd like.
Yeah, why don't you send us the narrative and the source, so
Okay.
that we can.
Yeah,
that
It's
would be
New York
helpful.
State Building Code, the
Yeah.
existing building.
Okay, great,
Okay.
appreciate that.
We'll provide it. We should make a note.
How come we have to put an elevator in our court?
Government
So
buildings,
what?
Our court?
government buildings a little
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Government building's different?
Yeah.
Oh, we have to put all ourselves to a higher standard?
Yes. That's a good thing.
It's a good thing, yes.
Anything else, Rich?
No,
Okay, Liz? Okay, so the only question I have then is, so we've got, we can come back to this at our next meeting in terms of final. So you're providing 14 spaces for sure from your easement, and you're depending on basically off-street public parking and on-street metered parking for
Yes,
the remainder of your spaces, the
Yes.
30 or so spaces.
right. And as per the original parking summary that was done back in the spring, it showed that there was well over 100, plus or minus 100 within 1,000 feet. And we only
Right.
require 44 minus the 14, so we're actually looking for only 30
Yep, I know, it's,
there. No, I'm just rephrasing.
no, I know the spaces exist. It's
And
a
also,
question of
I think
use.
the bike rack also may reduce your quantity of required parking spots. Dave can, usually that's the case. I didn't actually check on it.
I'm not sure that our code address,
Okay.
maybe not, but,
Okay.
and I don't remember the exact number of, how many bicycle spaces per parking space, or how's that? I'm not exactly sure I remember. Anyway, we'll make sure that,
We'll
It's
reflect
not
it.
my understanding that there's a substitution standard.
no, I don't think there is.
I think it's a standard for providing
Right, bicycle
bicycle
parking.
parking
Right.
within the site.
Then my mistake,
Yeah.
my misunderstanding.
Yeah, no, that's fine, and then
I've often
the
read
actual
that under
number,
other
no, it might be,
municipalities.
yeah, no, it's a local code. And the code also specifically identifies, it gives some details about the type of materials you'll need to use for a particular, for racks and so forth. So one of the questions that I have is about, your hours of operation and what you intend to do. So I understand that at this point, the only time you're planning to have a service is Sunday mornings.
Correct.
Okay. But you have other hours listed on your EAF in which you intend to be there. What is it that will be going on in those times?
So what would be going on in those times would be leadership meetings,
Okay.
Bible studies, small groups. By and large, I would not expect the crowd of those meetings to be larger than 30 to 40 people. And so in the scheme of that, you're looking at maybe 25, 30% of what you would expect on a Sunday morning. Most of those will be even smaller. Most of them will be probably 10, 15 people.
Okay.
I'm shooting on the high side that the largest that we would expect on a weeknight would probably be 30 to 40 people.
Okay, so you have, you have things going on pretty much every evening.
No.
Oh, no.
No,
Well, you
no,
have
we
hours
wouldn't.
of operation listed Monday, 7 to 9, Tuesday, Friday.
We left that open because those would be the nights that if we were doing anything during the week,
It would
that
be during those
it would be
times.
during those
Okay.
times.
So
correct.
several times
Yeah.
during the week.
So we just kind of left it
Okay.
open to say, hey, this is it.
Okay.
We are in the process of putting together a plan of that, but at this point, I would expect that to begin, it would be no more than 2 nights a week.
Okay.
That we would be doing that. And obviously, we're trying to be sensitive to Friday and Saturday nights because
Sure.
it's a challenge in terms of parking.
Okay, so, but given that you have 14 spaces that are dedicated to your use, and there's no other overlap, the building that's in front of that parking area, there's no conflict? Clearly, we haven't read the easement yet, but is it clear that you have 14 dedicated
Yes,
spaces?
it's very clear.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. So then, 14 spaces, all right, so that should be fine for all of those. And any daytime activities that you're planning to do?
I mean, I will be there at different
Sure.
times during the day,
Right.
but there would not be gatherings
Right.
that would be there.
So you, any administrative staff, that sort of thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All right.
under 5 people
Right.
at this junction.
So you're not, at this point, planning to do daycare or anything
No,
like that? sort?
nothing,
Okay.
nothing like that.
All right, so that pretty much addresses my issues for that. Okay, so what we need to do then is, we need to go through seeker, which, because it's a long form, we have to go through each question. And so it could take a little while. And then the other thing that we'll need to do after we finish with seeker is go over the final site plan and then make a final determination about that, have a vote on that. It might be, if you guys are okay with it, do we have a lot, Christina? I can't think of any applications that have come in for next meeting yet.
I can't either.
So, in the interest of not keeping people here too long, would you mind if we held off on doing the seeker until the next meeting? My guess is it'll take about 15 minutes to do
Okay.
it.
My only concern is if there's any questions raised during that process that we have a response for you. Is it a chance to have some comments from you on that ahead of time, just to make sure we have everything prepared for you?
So
My
let
one
me
concern.
turn to our planner who filled in Part 2 EAF. From my understanding, you didn't find anything that rose above a small impact, right?
Correct. I provided you a draft, part 2 of the long form EAF.
Yep.
I did leave one site item blank relating to transportation.
Yep.
It sounds like the information that you're looking for is been provided,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
my recommendation, not looking at the easement, but just understanding your comfort with parking provided, is that that's a minor impact.
Yep.
And then I've also drafted part 3 of the EAF and
Right.
provided that to the planning board's attorney. And while I didn't provide part 3 of the EAF that I developed for the applicants, I did share with them the part 2 of
Right,
the
yes.
long form EAF that I
Okay.
developed.
So you have that.
We have that, I just want to make sure there was nothing.
No, I don't think there will be.
Okay.
And since we also were waiting for our attorney for part 3 and we just got that, it would also simplify the process. We could just do it all at once. So if that's okay with
See
you,
a
then
reason.
we should be able to wrap this up.
Certainly.
Great, good.
Thanks. Great.
Okay, is that good with everybody?
Good.
All right.
Great.
Then,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
see
much.
you guys in 2
All right, we'll
weeks.
see you in
Take
2
care.
weeks. Thanks.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Bye. You too.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for everything. Is Floyd here yet? Nope. All right, I'll give these guys a chance to clear out. Thank you. See you guys.
I understand it, I don't understand why.
The architect or the pastor?
And, you know, we don't.
We'll find out. Architect right here.
I know the ADA rules.
If you want to ask him, he's doing it.
Yes, separate accommodation.
This has to do.
Full service.
Let's get an opinion. Once they send us the code, section one.
Did you expect to have that for today, or
Have what?
George's opinion on that?
No, I'm not sure if it ever got submitted to him.
George and I decided that as a side conversation. I didn't.
He seems confident, but let's,
Yeah, well, he can send us what he's working on.
great, okay.
Okay, let's move on to the pre-application PB 1520. Richard and Sylvia, why don't you come up?
Hello?
Hello, hi Sylvia.
Sorry.
No, that's fine, that's fine. We're juggling, we're just moving things around as need be.
So I'm Richard and this is Sylvia.
Hi.
Rich, I guess.
I'm Rich too, I'm Rich.
Rich
yeah.
one.
There's 3 of us now, we've outnumbered them.
That's right.
So Sylvia, first I just want to say on behalf of the planning board, I'm so sorry that you have to go through this tragedy. I know it must be impossibly difficult. So,
It is.
so we're having a pre-application tonight. Let me try to explain to you some of the steps. So I've prepared what I consider to be very much a draft sort of working schedule for things that we might be able to cover. Let me give you a copy and Richard a copy so you can follow along.
Yeah.
Thank you. And will you pass one of those to Bill, please? Okay, so nothing on this, Sylvia, is written in stone. It's just some ideas that I came up with to help you get through this process as expeditiously as possible. But Richard, why don't, when you're done reading that, why don't you sort of walk us through, to make sure that I understand right what's going on. Why don't you walk us through what we're talking about tonight?
Okay, just give me 1 second, I'm on item 5.
Yeah, go for it.
Did we get any kind of map on this or anything?
No,
Um,
other than,
You got,
we have her initial application and we have.
You got
just
David's
the
memo.
overview memo.
Yeah, just-
PDFing that to us and then submitting all
Yeah, that's what we got, right?
copies and all that.
Well, maybe not, let's
Maybe
wait,
not.
hold on.
I looked at this as a preliminary discussion.
Yeah, so-
We just brought it along. I did actually email it tonight, but it was only like 40, an hour before.
Okay, so I didn't even see it.
Yeah, and I only did it an hour before.
That's fine.
So that's why you.
Okay.
Just, yeah, so what we're looking at, this is an inaccurate site plan, first of all. I mean, so I don't have a survey, so I can't.
Right.
So, but it was based on some measurements I took of the previous buildings, and then I wasn't worried about the rear yard then, so I'm not
Okay.
sure. But there's a shed in the back.
Yep,
Which I think your proposal is to use as your temporary salon.
Yep.
Built, applied for the permit, and, building inspector had,
you applied for a permit for what?
I remodeled my shed,
Okay,
my outbuilding, so I could keep working.
okay. So you have a building permit to renovate the shed to make it into your salon?
Right.
Okay. And is that work ongoing or is it completed? The
Pretty much all
renovations.
done.
Okay.
But, the thing that I need to do is, right now we're running on generators, so I need to call the electric company
Okay.
and all that.
Okay.
But, the water and all that can't be, connected to yet because all the grease is there.
Right.
The check was sent to me, but it didn't have C2G on it. It had me on my mortgage bank. So I actually sent the check back to my mortgage bank, and I'm waiting for them to release it.
You're talking about insurance check?
Yeah, to clear the debris,
Okay.
because Greg went to C2G
Okay.
with Tony Hawkinson,
Sure.
and that's where he went, and he chose that company. And I went with the check to the company, but it didn't have I thought maybe I could write in the back.
Yeah, you should be able to transfer it to them.
They told me I couldn't. Then I went to the Chase Bank, and they told me I couldn't.
Okay.
That I need, because it has my mortgage bank name on it, that I needed to send it to them, which is my Citibank, City Mortgage, and I'm waiting for them to release the check.
Okay.
So that's why the debris is still there.
Okay. All right, well, let's, there's a number of items. I'm trying to go through this. You're already touching on several things here. So why don't you just continue laying out the site plan?
I think you said one clear site to do that needs to be done.
Yeah, anyway, we'll go through this list in a moment, but first.
The shed is not shown accurately in any sense. I
Okay.
kind of,
I have pictures of it.
Yeah,
so
okay.
No, that's okay right now.
mhm.
but it's in the back somewhere.
Uh-huh.
We need a survey. We need a survey. That would be the next first step, I'd say, for this process, is to
Mhm.
figure out where things are. So,
Yeah, it's just, well, if you want to see it, I have it.
It's all right for now.
Okay, the existing building, the salon, as we know from our previous
Mhm.
meetings, was here. It was 16.9 from the street. The comments from the village were that, we'd like to have 25-foot back, which is the code for any new buildings. It's over 80% discussion, which means, unfortunately, because of the cost and time, you have to go before the planning board, process and all of the entire process. Where before, it was about 50%, so we didn't have to do that. This building was existing, and we just were rebuilding this. We did
That was
receive the
existing
approvals.
too. And I've been
Well,
here 20 years.
Okay, so we're in a situation where now we have to go through the whole process.
So what you're showing us here is a proposal for a final
What
site
I'm
plan
showing
without,
here is
without
really
any specifics.
Without any specifics at all,
Okay.
just a rectangle saying.
Okay.
And Sylvia had really seen this, so one thing you comment on is maybe you'd like to move it back even
No,
more.
But,
No,
but
yeah.
hold on
I'm
one
not
second.
saying-
Before we even get to this.
Right.
Really, the purpose of tonight is to try to find a way to help you reestablish your business in a place to live on a temporary basis, as I understand it. in order for,
Right, that's
while
what
you're
this
going,
meeting was for.
while you're going through the process of finalizing the actual plans for a permanent replacement for
Right.
the building that you lost in the fire.
That's what the meeting was for. So
Okay, so I'm gonna ask that we step back from this for a
Yes,
minute?
yeah.
Okay. So if you wouldn't mind going through this checklist for a minute, or this schedule. So the number one responsibility now is to get your site cleared. And you can't really you can't inhabit the site or conduct business there until you have it cleared. You don't have a safe place for people to move to and from your salon. You don't have a safe place for people to park. And so that's the first thing that has to happen. So do you have any idea of when you expect to have the money so that the company can come in and clear the site?
The money was already sent.
I understand,
It's
but
just that,
you sent it back.
I sent, not to my insurance company.
To your
my
bank.
mortgage.
Okay, so do you know when you expect,
I sent it register a certificate, so they have to sign it, so I know
Okay.
I got it. And I didn't get any receipt yet. I sent it about a week ago.
Mhm.
And, I'll talk to my fire adjuster and I'll talk to whoever I need to talk to get the check released.
okay,
So Tony and her crew can move in and,
Are you dealing with a local bank on this?
I have 5 banks.
I'm sorry?
I have 5 banks.
5 banks?
holding your mortgage?
No, I have a Bank of America and.
We're only interested in the one that's actually involved in this check. And you said that was your mortgage bank.
That was Citibank.
Citibank?
Citibank is in Manhattan.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yes,
Okay.
So when do you think the site, or you got a sense of it?
As soon as I get that check from Citibank, City Mortgage, which is 2
Okay.
different things, I will give the check back to Tony Hunkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his last name?
Mhm.
Hunkinson? And then we'll go there and remove the debris.
Clear the site.
Okay, so so they're able to start as soon as they get,
They don't want to start, even though they saw the check, it was $12,000.
whatever it is.
They saw it, I went there, I gave it to them, and they gave it back to me.
No, I understand, but once they have, what I'm trying to say is, they have you on, they're able to start once they get the
Exactly.
money. Okay, all right.
The trailer was gonna be there, with the wheelers, the big wheeler trailer for me to live on.
Okay,
They were already ready to bring it, but because of the debris being there,
yep.
they can't put it in.
Okay, so absolutely the first thing that needs to happen is that we have to get your site safe again. So all of that stuff needs to be cleared. The building inspector will come and ensure that the site is, once cleared, that everything is okay. And so that's really item number 1. So you can make plans for all of the subsequent things that need to happen, but you can't actually do any of the additional stuff other than if you have a building permit to renovate the shed, that's
I have one.
between you and the building department, and so that's fine.
Yeah, I wanted to clear I personally wanted to clear my property with my own, the people that I know. But unfortunately, Greg went to the other people.
Well, that decision is up to you. That's not a decision that we can make, that's entirely between you.
Well, Craig made the decision
Well-
at the beginning, and now, I guess, so let's talk with Tony.
I don't really think that we can comment on that. That's something that you'll have to work out. But from our point of view.
This were up to me, we would just go right ahead and move it all out, but they say that you need this kind of license, that kind of license. My company has licenses and
That,
insurance.
again, this is outside the planning board's purview. But what I'm trying to say is that however you do it, and do it in a legal manner, once the site is cleared and the building inspector has approved it, then we can go on to the
I
next step.
understand that,
Okay.
but my hands are tied.
No, I understand.
I'm not the one that made the decision to go to CTG.
Okay. Well, it's your property, you have to,
It's my property, but when first I had the fire, everybody else was on my property making decisions without me, not being notified.
well, again, I'm not, we're not
I'm
attorneys.
just telling you what happened.
Okay, well, however it is, once you get the site cleared by whatever means, and the building inspector has signed off on it, then, number 2 is one that I want to sort of walk us through carefully, because there are certain ramifications here. So, what we need to do, Sylvia, to make it possible for you to be on the site for some period of time, is the planning board needs to make a determination that the way you want to set up the site is acceptable from the zoning code point of view, and then we can authorize the building inspector to give you certain temporary certificates or specified, and it would allow you to be on the site for a specified period of time, using the shed, for instance, as your business, and having some kind of temporary building for you to live in. So let me work backwards for a second. Do you have a date by which you would like to begin building your permanent building? What, with winter coming in and all of that?
My permanent building is already built. It comes in modular pieces.
Whatever. So let me rephrase that. Is there a date by which you would like to drop your building down from a crane onto your site?
As soon as ready.
I mean, what's realistic, Richard? I mean, is this something you can do in the winter time, or does this really have to wait till spring because you have to put a slab in or dig a foundation, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, the building doesn't have a slab, it's actually on steel.
Well, I haven't seen the building.
Okay.
That's on steels.
My understanding is something different.
The reason it's on steels because they have a lot of water there.
Yep.
But I think that for part 2 is submission of plan indicating temporary uses and structures and property for a period not to exceed 12 months. For that, we need the survey, the trailer size, the trailer location.
The trailer is 40 feet.
Well, we need to locate it
So-
as a door. We need to draw the shed and show the utilities, I think, where they might come in temporary.
Yeah.
So that's what I see that you guys and I need.
That's all
for
on the
part
left.
2.
I know all that already.
Okay.
I
Well,
just
yeah.
haven't seen them.
Okay. Part-
So
yeah.
what I want to address to the planning board is that if we treat the temporary use as a site plan approval, then we have to go through all the site plan steps. We have to, we have to determine if it needs to be sent to county. We have to make a determination about seeker. We have to hold a public hearing, and
In forms of what?
say that again.
The reason why I want to do that is because
No. Okay, so what I want to make sure is that we have an agreement between us and you all that the building inspector can use to say that once your site is cleared, the location of your shed is in such and such a place, that there will be access during those 9 months.
there's a lot of access.
Sylvia, just let me finish, okay? That there will be a proper, safe way for pedestrians to get from where they're gonna park safely
Yeah.
to the shed,
That's done.
that we need to identify where your trailer will be parked. We need to be able to identify if you're putting any infrastructure in, like water and sewer lines.
Well,
We're
I
gonna
have.
need, just let me finish, where those are gonna go. And if you're not gonna do that, then how are you gonna deal with health and safety issues around potable water and sewage?
There's a cabinet for hair salons that actually pump water up and heat it up, and inside the cabinet on the other side holds water.
Okay,
So I don't have to be connected to any plumbing.
so where's the water come from?
The water comes, you fill the water up
But where do you get the water from that you fill it up?
from the jugs.
And where you're buying your water in a store, you mean?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're not gonna use, and then what, and then the water, when you're done, like washing people's hair, where's it go?
Well,
You can't just dump it outside.
we were thinking about doing, we can't connect the sewer pipe yet, because I know where it all is, but we have to clear the debris.
Okay,
So we're
that's not what I'm,
thinking about
okay.
doing that.
You-
Maybe we'll clear the debris.
Okay, so let's back up. The reason I'm giving you this schedule is that it is vitally important that you do things in the proper order. You can't decide tomorrow that you're gonna go out and clear debris to start putting a sewer pipe in. That's not okay.
No, I understand.
Until this board says that you can start this work and the building inspector is authorized to do so, you can't do that. And so I'm trying to make this, so what I'm asking you is, are you planning to connect to municipal water during the 9 months or so that we're proposing to have temporary hookups?
I would like to.
Okay. Okay, so,
I would like to, because I know.
there's no reason why you can't. Certainly in terms of your business, that's available.
I actually do dry cutting. I don't do wet, what they call it, wet
Okay.
down hair cutting. My hair cutting is dry and it's with a tool that I created. So it's called hair carving. I'm not a
I
beautician.
understand, but you
So I
just
don't
said
need a
that
lot of water.
it doesn't matter if you need a lot or a little, if you
The
need
only
any.
water I need is, if someone wants me to do a color, which my colors are organic.
Great, okay. So the point is you need some water and you need a way to dispose of the used water.
I understand that.
And for your trailer, how do you propose to manage?
The trailer company was there and they do temporary hookup.
Okay, now, how are they gonna keep sewer and water lines from freezing in the wintertime?
I didn't get a time to speak with him because when he saw the debris, he said, call me when it's gone.
Okay. So, one of the things that we need to do, and the Department of Public Works has to be a part of this conversation, is, you will, when it comes to the time where you're going to consider doing sewer and water hookups, we will have to have you sit down with the Department of Public Works so that they can ensure that the
Right.
sewer and water lines that you put in are properly installed so that you don't have a problem in the wintertime with freezing.
I understand they
Okay.
need to be 4 feet under.
Okay.
And they are, because the pads that I had originally were on top of them.
Okay.
In other words, all my plumbing is underground.
No, that's fine, but we're
already.
talking about running it to the shed, which doesn't currently have water and sewer.
No, but I know where the connections are.
Okay, that's fine.
And they didn't get ruined by the fire because
Good.
they were underground.
Good, all right, well, the continuation from there to the shed has to be done in that way. And then,
Mhm.
it isn't clear how you're gonna run those lines above ground to your trailer, but
Oh,
don't,
the trailer part is that company, I've never done that before, so I don't know how they do it.
okay,
I only know how I do it. You dig out 4 feet and, you install the pipe. With
Okay.
stone and sand and all the other,
but at some point it has to come above ground to the trailer, and if it's in an uninsulated
Well,
space.
that, they do it differently.
Okay, so we need to know how you're gonna handle water and sewer in your trailer.
Yeah, he said temporary and I don't know what he meant by that.
Okay, well, that's a fact, we all need to know the details of it.
Mhm.
Are you providing restroom facilities for your clients?
Mhm.
Okay, and will that be in the shed? So you're gonna
Well,
install a
it's not a
bathroom?
shed anymore.
Are you, in your salon, are you planning to install a bathroom in that space?
Mhm.
Okay, so then you'll have to absolutely need a way to get rid
Right.
of gray water and sewage.
Right.
Okay,
Yes,
so.
I'm absolutely doing that.
Okay, so I don't have an answer here, and thank you for
Well,
indulging me.
I'm gonna get back to the other point you were making there, Michael, and it was, to speed the process up. If we treat this as 2 site plans, one site plan for the temporary installations
Absolutely.
and one site plan for the permanent installations.
Yes.
It's gonna be a long process. And there's going to be a problem in overlapping the two. Because it's gonna be nearly impossible with this size parcel to meet all the setbacks and have a temporary overlap in the permanent. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Connections to lines, the new to the old.
Is there-
Construction site, you can't. that would
I mean,
be-
basically, the only way that I could see doing this going down there would be to put the trailer all the way against the back property line, as far as you possibly can, in order to free up the building envelope.
I was
for the new
thinking
building.
about that actually.
So, I mean, we can do this as the initial site plan not being permanent.
Can we do it in phases? Or
Is-
would that,
the
or
question
phase?
is there a
thing-
site, is there an official site plan necessary for an emergency situation?
Right, that's,
If your house burned, you know, would you have to go through a whole site plan to bring in the trailer that you're living in while your house is being burned? Here we have a business, makes it a little bit different. And we have a mixed use, makes it even more difficult. But we still have an emergency situation.
right.
So
Yeah, but we
emergency
still need
situations
a way
call
to
for it.
ensure that it's done safely.
That's what we have a building permit for, and it's only a 9-month permit. So it's not a site plan that it goes any longer than 9 months. You got 9 months in which to put in a trailer and this temporary business. And then they've got to be replaced with a permanent site plan and permanent structures.
Right.
Within the 9 months?
Or at least begun within the 9
Yeah, we'll
months.
begin it within the 9 months.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that we can hopefully,
We gotta know if the light at the end of the tunnel is the sunshine and not a train coming at us. So, I mean, it's gotta be, but in order to get a site plan for the new building, you're gonna have to locate these temporary buildings outside of the
Of the
permanent
envelope
building
of where you
envelope.
want to put it, right?
now why do you say that? Because I don't.
Because you can't live in a temporary building and build a new building on top of it at the same time.
Oh,
Or
right.
just cross them. You know, I'd almost say.
I see what you mean.
The water and sewer lines are no problem.
The only issue being way
Mr.
back here.
Stevens, I agree with you, putting the trailer way in the back. That was my idea.
Or right to the side, but it's gotta get outside of the building envelope.
I would personally just comment as, just a thought.
Yep.
If one stuck the trailer up front and the shed up front, you know, the business, and it could access the street safely, to me, and it's not in the building site, of course, that's a given, because I'm just, that's hundreds of feet. Anything's possible, plus if fire has to get into the trailer and this is blocking it, yeah, I'm just a little concerned.
I have a
That's a
question.
whole other issue.
I have a question.
Okay.
That's why
Jumping
that's why we
ahead.
need the initial temporary,
I have a
call it
question.
site plan.
Yeah.
What we're looking at is a long-term plan to be able to show, this is what we're gonna do on a temporary basis, this is what we're aiming for in the long term.
Mr. Stevens, I have a question. My question is, I've been there 20 years, maybe even longer, and the building's been there even longer than that. The old building that just burned.
I'll give you a piece of history. I was one of the ones who sold you the building 20 years ago, so I know you've been there that long. Yes, Bill
Okay,
Mack.
I
Bill Mack
mow-
actually
I mow
worked.
my building, and it's supposed to be, yeah, I remember, Stevens. The basement is there, therefore, does that matter that you have to?
I think you're gonna have, I
building-
think, you know, I'm gonna let your engineer, designer talk to you, but I don't know how you're gonna save that basement as a course of new construction.
I don't wanna save it, I wanna fill it up, because my property is full of water.
Well, that building is into the street, which isn't the code, so they're gonna make, you know, you move.
So you're gonna make me move my building, is that it?
Right, that seemed to be the.
By force.
What I'm getting from the.
No, not by force, by code, and if you don't want to do that, then you're going to have to go through an additional municipal process of going to the zoning board of appeals and explain to them why you want to put your building in the setback.
And in other words, it doesn't matter that you have a fire, that you lost your dogs, you lost your life, you lost your building, you lost your
Does
business.
it matter? That's not really a fair question, Sylvia.
Well, it is a fair
No,
question.
no, it's not.
It's-
We're dealing with a piece of property, not with people. I know it's very hard to
I
distinguish the
mean,
difference.
the reason that we're having this conversation tonight is that we're trying our best to find a way to accommodate you so that you have the minimal amount of red tape, but end up with a place that, so we have to consider your concerns, but we also have to consider the fact you're running a business, and people have to get to and from your salon safely during the winter time.
Yeah,
We have to ensure that sewer and water is handled properly.
right, the
for-
path is already built.
The path is not already built because your site at the moment is a site that is completely covered or largely covered with debris. And until the debris gets cleared, and until we see some kind of drawing that shows us where things are gonna go, we're just using words, that's not enough. And so the purpose tonight is to try to get to a point where we can agree, all of us, that we can agree that we can come up with a way to help you get your temporary structures on that site in a legal and efficient manner, knowing that some months down the road, you'll have the opportunity to build yourself your new home and your new business that can stand for another 100 years. That's the
Yes,
idea.
and I'm not building a home to business.
You're not building a home
No,
business.
I'm actually going modular, efficient, and smaller.
But you
I'm not
are,
building the big, huge thing.
but you
I
are,
used to have.
your intention is to have your home and your business on the site, correct?
Well, yes, that's how it's.
Then I'm using the
run.
word building in a general sense of the word. You're planning to construct, assemble, build, drop down from a crane. But the point is, you want to continue to have a mixed use at that site.
Well-
I think the code on this is a single building, as we found out before, because we had to connect the two.
Yep,
It's a home business, I think that's what it's.
yep.
Yeah, and I was talking to.
Hair salon does not qualify as home
Oh,
business.
so it's mixed use? It's, yeah, okay, I'm not sure what it was, well, that's a whole.
That's-
Okay, so let me go back to this.
Yeah.
Rich, you have some comments.
I don't, it's more been just nodding and listening.
Okay.
But where I had a question was maybe something that gets addressed at the next level, which is, Richard, you had suggested this idea of moving the existing shed to the front of the property and putting the temporary structure in the front of the property to allow for development in the back portion of the
No,
property.
I'm not agreeing to that.
Okay,
Okay,
so when that was proposed,
We haven't
I,
talked, so.
Yeah,
That's
well,
fine.
my concern on that
We
was
haven't
about,
had a
it's just
meeting.
an idea because it's hundreds of feet to get there, which
No.
means you have to
And-
have probably handicap accessible
I did have that
temporary
already. We
facilities,
did handicap already.
lighting and
And
water.
lighting.
so Mike, I'm not sure
I've been
I have any
started-
questions that
I've
are
been doing construction for 20
pertinent at the
years.
moment.
I built that.
well, you
place.
can't say you've done it already because we're talking about a site that hasn't yet been developed in
No, I'm
a
saying
safe and
that we're
temporary way.
planning, I built my
Okay.
permit.
Okay, so here's the
Building
thing.
inspector knows.
Okay, so here's the thing. What I'm trying to do is converse with our board and figure out a way to, can we figure out a way so that you don't have to go through 2 site plan processes, so that you can get your temporary structures on the property in a reasonable amount of time? If we just say,
We can.
well, if you know how to do it, then please tell me.
I have a
No, I'm
question.
serious. If you have a way, because I don't, that's the conversation we're having.
Well, what's the problem? Is the trailer the problem?
No, nothing specific is the problem, it's the process. Let me explain. If we say to you, you need to go away and come back in 2 weeks with a site plan, then what we do is we make a determination of completeness at one meeting. We have to decide whether we send this to the Ulster County Planning Board, which means it'll be at least a month before we can hold a public hearing.
And that's for what? What do you have to send?
Because the law requires us to send certain types of site plans. For instance, if you're within a certain distance of a county or state road, which you are, then we are required by law
But
to
I
send.
already have all my setbacks, like when I did my shed, I had.
Got
my
nothing to do
setback.
with it.
When I,
Sylvia, it has nothing to do with it. This is the law that is, it's not local code, it's what it is. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that if we get into the process of making this a formal site plan review, it will probably be at least 2 months before you can start your business in your shed and move your trailer and live in it on the site. So we are trying to find a way to make it possible for you to do those things sooner. But the first step is you have to clear the site, and then we can figure out how to manage all of this. At some point, you will have to come back with a formal site plan for what it is that you ultimately want to have on that property for your business and your home. We
I
can,
already know, I can show it to you.
no, I don't need to see it tonight. But let me just say that you'll have plenty of time to do that, because once we get the temporary stuff worked out and your site is cleared and you're moving in, we'll have months. You can, once you've worked all of those out, you can submit an application for your final.
Mhm.
We have the luxury then of taking a few months.
Okay.
okay? But the stumbling block now is the temporary part.
I just had a question, kind of way back.
Yeah, go ahead.
How, but it may not. What, and you just kind of answered it, kind of.
Okay.
What do we think the process is to do the temporary, just realistically? I know you asked, so, you know,
Okay.
let's assume she gets the debris down,
Yes.
which is kind of first contingency before even doing anything.
Yes.
But do you really think, is it realistically 2 months? I'm just worried of things, I mean, that's till they get approvals and then you can start building your trailer and looking at stuff. The reason I'm saying this, and it may not be of any value because you want to do what you want to do, but it might take 3 or 4 months to get your temporary things up. You know, you're not allowed, what they're saying is you're not allowed to do business here. So,
Well, I don't know if it'll, I don't know
let's
why
say
it would,
2 months.
I don't know why it would necessarily
Okay,
take
good.
that long.
That's
Just-
great.
I
If
mean,
we
for the,
proceed-
I'm just talking about the
Yeah,
approvals. I
yeah.
can't speak to what happens once you've got.
okay, so we think it's 2 months.
But-
But if I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to do business here, I have other places I can do business.
Yeah, so then if that's the, there's what I'm
You
getting
don't
to.
want me on my property? I
It's
don't
not,
have to
there's
do-
nothing personal. It's not that I don't want you on your
Well,
property.
that's what it sounds like.
Here's what I'm getting to with my comments.
Sylvia, let me back
Sounds
up.
like to me anyway.
Sylvia, none of this is personal, okay?
Well, family from New Paltz, she's a lot, she told me I could use her building in the
Okay.
back.
And let's be fair, this is not personal. We're trying to walk a line here between helping. All
Sounds personal.
right, then I think we need to take 5 minutes here because this is not okay.
I don't care what
We're trying to help you.
Yeah.
Sylvia.
We're not trying to be
Sylvia, I've been a
obstructionists.
neighbor and a friend of yours for a long time, and there's
I
no,
don't understand what the problem is, the trailer being there.
okay,
and the shed.
there's no problem with it. We have to go through a process, and we need a document from you that shows where you're gonna be conducting business. We need a document, that same document needs to show where your trailer is going to be located, where parking will be for your clients, where the walkway will be that will allow people to get safely to and from the parking lot to your business.
I have
where-
all that done.
You have a drawing that's to scale, that shows all of those things?
No, I have to meet with him because
Okay.
he was busy.
Okay,
No,
then
well,
when that,
Yeah.
if you have that drawing that shows all of those things, and it shows where the sewer and water lines are and where the temporary lines will be hooked up,
Mhm.
when we have information from the trailer company that shows what means by which they're going to allow you to hook to municipal
Right, I can
services,
speak to them, yeah.
okay, and you can provide us some written documentation from them, then we are in a position to then go through a process that allows the building inspector to grant you the necessary permits to do these things, so that at the end of the day, when somebody walks past your property, everybody knows that the trailer's going here because that's what it says on the plan, and your shed is over here because that's where it says it is on the plan, and the walkway between the parking and so forth. So it's all there. The reason that we have to make these considerations is primarily, it's not personal, it's about public health and safety. So can people safely get from your parking lot to the shed? And can you
I've
get?
been in business for over 20 years and I can make that happen.
I have no doubt that you can, but like everybody else, we need a drawing that is to scale that shows these things.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just, what I was trying to get, and this is all good, and I really appreciate
Sure.
what you do. You know, this is a tough situation.
It's really
And-
tough,
and
I
they're
know.
trying to help as best you can.
Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Okay, what I was trying to get to, and we can shoot it down, is, if it takes 2 months to 4 months to get temporary, why not just move your business to a temporary rental? And don't waste your time putting in
Because my
temporary
business
facilities.
stopped. I only
Well, you
have-
could just rent a space and.
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
My
okay,
business has stopped.
okay,
because-
solved. So, if Rich, Steffens, and the board are okay, and you wanna put the trailer
I
back
have a
here.
business of like 1 client a day.
Okay,
Sylvia.
so if you wanna put the trailer back here next to the shed,
I do.
and it sounds like the board is willing to entertain that, then what we need to do is get a survey to make the survey so we can get the trailer info, draw the shed out, show the bathroom that you wanna do on the shed, because presently it's just a shed.
Not anymore.
Well, it doesn't have a bathroom. Doesn't have water. The water comes in here, I believe, it's marked on the street, so we have to dig trenches, get that to the trailer, get it to the shed, have a plan.
Okay,
show
Rich, hold on.
Yeah, so that's what we need to do.
Yes,
We'll
okay.
do it. If that's what you want to do, let's do it.
So, let me come back to this question. This is for the board now, for just a moment. Do we think that there's a way to do this without going through is there a way to deal with a temporary emergency situation?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have some thing in our code or New York State code that allows us to,
I mean, our own
pass-
town put up its offices under an emergency situation when they went out.
That's true.
Yeah, the buildings are over there.
So
but-
yes, there are people who, when there's a fire occurs, there are companies that go out there that specialize in providing these temporary residences and/or office spaces when these catastrophes happen.
Okay.
Sandy used up tons of them, situations like that. This is not a development site plan, this is a temporary
I know, exactly.
installation.
Right.
So I don't see it as coming underneath our site plan review. I see it as being outside of that and really in the hands of the building inspector to make sure that it meets all safety code, and make sure it meets the health code.
Right.
But in terms of a site plan, this is something that, is not going to be able to exist after 9 months, it's going to be temporary.
Right.
And we can give some guidance to it, but I think the site plan review for the final building should start day one. But in the meantime, she can have temporary,
Yeah, that's fine. And that's up to her. We can certainly keep.
I would think that the building inspector has the power now to allow her to put a trailer in there.
I guess from my perspective, to get to that trailer, what is he going to say? Do we need parking there? Can you walk 200 feet to get?
The problem is the business, not the residents, you realize.
Right, yeah, I know, that's what I'm worried about, public coming in, and.
Yeah, it still needs to be code even if
I
it's
have-
temporary.
I have all that
So
taken
the
care
town
of.
did it on a parking lot.
Okay.
It's parking.
I
So-
have the handicap taken care of. I
Okay.
have
Well, you do
all
have a
that.
pretty level site.
Okay.
So you.
No, but I actually have the stones already are 36.
Okay.
They're like this wide, so if a wheelchair can come in. The
Okay.
door is big enough so a wheelchair can come in. I
Okay.
took care of all that stuff.
Okay.
So, do you have something?
Rich said now, made the comment that this could happen now, and my feeling was that I felt like your point one was a good one, which is the clearance of the site of
Yep.
debris and safety is really the
We
now.
all agree with that.
Yeah, good.
And so if Rich's comments are not now, but once the site is clear of debris and
Yeah.
I
and
never
safe,
had it cleared. That
We all get a building.
and I would want to review the code to nod my head on whether there's an emergency opportunity here, but it sounds like there is, and I would love to make that possible if there is.
So here's a proposal.
Please.
What we need is a drawing that shows where you want to put the shed, where you want to put your trailer, where you want to have parking for your clients.
The parking is already there, so.
Just let me finish. It just needs to be on this drawing. Whether it's there or in the ground, we need a drawing.
You see, want to see that?
Yep. Want to see that. We would like to see how you're going to allow people to move from the parking to the shed.
Mhm.
And then any infrastructure connections, so sewer, water, and electric.
Right.
We'd like to see where those lines are existing and where they're gonna, the temporary
Right.
hookups would be. And then, as I said before, it's some documentation from the
Okay,
trailer company.
I got it.
It doesn't need to be a big fancy site plan, it needs to be a drawing to scale that allows us to identify where those things are.
Mhm.
And as Rich pointed out, so that we can be sure that the building, that the envelope around in which you wanna build your, or put your permanent building is not gonna be impacted by that, so that you'll be able to do the construction.
My,
So you can just have a, you can have a dotted line that says,
Mhm.
future building site.
Well, I never, this is the first time I see this.
Yeah, that's fine, we don't need to worry about this
So,
today. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, the shed is here, okay?
Yep,
And it's in the right setbacks, because when I built it, I have to do it that way.
okay,
Now, Richard Stiffen says I can put my trailer back here. Here's where the baseball park is.
Yep.
You know, the church bit, you know. So I would like to stay in the back, work here, live here, and this whole thing will be open for construction.
Okay, I think that would be, it seems
And
to make
that's
a lot
what
of
I want,
sense. Good.
you know.
So I think that makes a lot of sense. So what I'm suggesting is, if you can provide us this drawing, and it's something that the building inspector can then work from on it to
Exactly.
help you get everything up, then we can look at that drawing at our meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay, I
And
guess
and hopefully your site will be clear by then.
it should be. I'm trying to get a hold
Okay,
of the
so
check.
I think it'll be a productive 2 weeks.
Mhm.
You can get your site cleared, you can get this drawing
Yeah, I
done.
want to get it cleared too. It's very depressing.
I'm sure it must be incredibly hard for you to have to look at this all the
It's
time at this point.
incredibly hard.
So you can make plans, you can, during these 2 weeks, you can also, and if you need help from me, you can call me, or the building inspector can help you. You can have a conversation with the Department of Public Works. They can help you so that when your site is cleared, the lines can be put in, you can talk to Central Hudson. And then I think what we need to do is talk to the building inspector and confirm that this is an acceptable way to handle a temporary site development, okay? And we'll just make sure that, you know, legally this is all gonna work, but I think it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
I'm actually in the building inspector's office a lot,
Good?
because what I want to do is do things that he's going to be okay with.
Sure? Good.
Good.
And he's the one that makes the decisions and polices everything we do. So I'd rather jump ahead, go talk to him.
Good.
And I even asked him if he had any suggestions.
Good.
And he's the one I'm actually talking to.
Do you need health department approvals
For what?
for your salon? I don't know. Are there any state level approvals that you need to?
No, I just have my licenses.
Okay, but where you actually practice, it doesn't matter?
No.
Okay.
But I think for this, the building.
For the temporary building?
Oh, a temporary, I don't know.
No.
Right, for
I
the
can-
permanent one, I'm
I
not
can cut
sure.
hair on
Okay.
top of a rock.
Excellent.
Okay, what I
Okay.
need is a survey. And I have a surveyor, she's the cheapest around. You authorize that, I will get a price to you. I can't do anything without that. You know, we can't just submit something with a random box, you know. It has, you know, the site plan has to show.
It would be
things.
good if you
Where
could.
was that? Because I hadn't really had
Well,
that.
you're gonna need the survey for your other site
For the
plan.
other
We
site
so
plan.
we
you'll-
had it in the office.
It's not in the it's not in the file, there's not.
Well, you can
My
go,
files were all lost, did you know that?
So we have to
Sorry.
get a survey.
All my files were lost
Do you know who surveyed it for you before?
in the building inspector's office. When they moved their stuff,
Oh.
they lost all my paperwork.
That's what I need to get started, so as soon as, okay,
So
do that.
the fact that we don't have it is not my fault, it's that
okay.
they would, I don't know who lost it.
I don't know either that, and I don't know when that might have happened. It could have been quite a
It
few years
happened
ago.
last year, because when I had the fire last year, they didn't have any of my papers.
But I don't know when they actually, that could have been many years ago. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Okay, well, you can pursue that. So does it sound like we have a plan? So you can work on getting your site cleared, you can get this simple but accurate drawing to us. We can do this, and you can talk to the DPW in Central Hudson. In the meantime, during this 2-week period, you can sort out your problems with your
That would be
check.
great, actually.
And so then in 2 weeks, we can look at this plan, and we'll hopefully just, you know, with the building inspector's blessing, we should be able to give him the authorization to go ahead.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, I like him.
Good, glad to hear that.
Is, that's another pre-meeting, or is it, I mean, in other words, is there a submission date, or we'll bring it to the meeting, you're saying?
Do this as
That's the best I think we
I
can
think-
do, with the surveyor, getting me.
do this as
Okay.
efficiently as you can do
Yeah,
it.
okay,
We
great.
understand the
Really appreciate
circumstances,
it.
I'm not gonna hold you to
Okay.
deadlines
Richard
at this
is very
point.
efficient.
I need that survey
You know,
to be efficient.
but let me be, Sylvia, one thing that's clear. We may all find this to be acceptable, with the drawing that we get and so forth, but we cannot approve it until the site is cleared.
I understand,
Okay.
and I'll get to it.
Thank you. That's really important.
I even want that
I-
site clearance.
I'm sure. Okay.
Not only for me, but for all the customers, I mean,
Of course.
the neighbors
Yeah,
that pass by, and a lot of golfers.
sure. I know. I see it every day.
It's a dangerous.
I feel bad for
somebody to get
everyone.
hurt.
Well, and
There's a
it's
lawsuit.
better to look
Well, you know,
forward.
I'm there all the time watching the property, and I have a orange, I don't know.
So are we good? Because we have some more business, but,
Thank you
all
so
right.
much.
And if you have any questions, then I can be of any help, please don't hesitate.
How big a property is it?
I'm sorry?
How big a property is it?
Yeah,
I
go for it.
think that you may have that information. I was just
I
thinking
have
that
that
tonight, and I was like, what is that? How big a property is it?
135.
0.35. So that's another issue with undersized lot for,
I don't know, I think it's bigger than that, actually. That's what they
Okay.
said.
Okay,
we will find out when the survey is done, is my
They
answer.
say if the survey does it, then he will say the actual number,
She will
right?
tell us everything.
Because I think it's bigger than that.
Yep, okay.
All right.
I will send that to you as a piece of document, I'll email it to you guys the second we get it, okay? So you'll have it in the file. Thank you.
all right, thank you guys
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Richard. I'm just, not myself to face.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't wish what happened to you or anybody. Okay, all right, so stay in touch and we'll plan to see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Lloyd,
Start getting warm.
are you ready?
Thank you, Richard. Nice seeing you again.
Thanks, Sylvia. Well, but we just lost our quorum here temporarily.
Hey, just went to the bathroom.
Okay. Yes, please come up. All right, so now we're doing, where are you? Manheim? Yes, PD 1513. Okay, so Jack, we'll be with you very shortly. Appreciate your patience. This one's very quick. All right, so 7 North Manheim, we have done everything except final site plan approval. We were waiting to hear what the decision was going to be by the ZBA, and they have granted the variance for doing 7 North Manheim. So you have revised and provided us with revised plans that indicate the notes that we needed. The deck has been approved as per this variance, and that any additional bedrooms beyond the 3 and conversions would require a new site plan.
Correct.
Okay. There's no seeker on this, it's a type 2 action, so we did that, we did the public hearing, and so unless you all have any specific questions about this, we can go ahead and make a motion. Yep. Thanks. Yep. That's great. Yeah, you just got, the first set had the arrow pointing to the wrong place.
I have a small copy of this.
Okay. Okay. That deck works. Fine. Okay.
You got the driveways confused.
Yeah. All right, when you guys are ready, I'll do the resolution. Take your time.
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So, whereas on July 6, 2015, the application for site plan approval at 7 North Manheim Boulevard in the R2 district to construct a second-floor addition to a one-story single-family residence was submitted. Referral to the county planning board is not required pursuant to the memorandum of agreement between the county and the village. This is a type 2 action, so no further seekers required. November 3rd, public hearing was held, and open and closed in a legal manner, and a side yard setback area variance required to correct an existing incursion was granted by the ZBA on November 10th, 2015. Therefore, it is hereby resolved
by the Village of New Paltz Planning Board that the application of Amy Hannes for site plan approval to construct a second floor addition to a one-story, single-family residence set forth in the drawing, et cetera, all dated June 16th, 2015, is hereby approved on the following condition: payment of all fees and escrows. And the chair is authorized to sign the site plan. That's the motion.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you guys are good. You can check with, I will sign the thing tonight. You can check with Brian tomorrow and get whatever you need so you can start.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot easier than the deck, huh? That's easier than the deck.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
So, all right, Floyd, take care. Jack, thank you for your patience. Come on up. Okay. So this is PB 1519, 1721 Church Street, I guess is what it's called. And so we have an application for interior work only, is that right? Correct. Okay. And so we need to make a determination of completeness tonight and then proceed with whatever else we can do. Okay. So you have submitted a plan for us, Jack, showing the approximate proposed seating. You want to just give us a quick summary of what you have proposed? Okay, thanks.
I am proposing to expand my space for the small cafe with the adjacent space, which will be available by the end of December.
Right.
The address is 17 Church Street. It has an existing patio, which is a seasonal seating, and I'm proposing to move into this space.
Okay.
It's a historic building.
Yep.
This is the small cafe. This is the space that will become available.
Yep.
The patio next door to it.
So it looks like you're proposing something around 36 seats?
I am
Well,
allowed
counted.
to have up to almost 49 seats, and I'm proposing right now 36 simply because I don't need any more at this moment.
Okay. You have a couple of seats existing in the small cafe.
I do.
You plan to continue to have those there?
Well, I have 2 small tables which can be occupied by 4 people.
Okay,
I'm planning on moving those into the bigger space.
okay,
There are some counter stools,
yep,
I believe 6, and I may leave them there just for a purpose of a takeout, or I might take
Sure.
them out and I'm
Okay.
just gonna expand the existing kitchen a little farther beyond, if that's
Okay.
what we would need to do.
Part of the reason I asked that is you've noted what you call the main entrance. So
Correct.
does that mean that the door that you're currently using to the cafe will not be used by customers anymore?
Correct, unless it's just a takeout.
Okay, got it, just for takeout, okay.
So this is the main door on the drawing, this is the main door for the customers to the
Yeah.
proposed space.
Okay,
Okay, the building itself, within the metrics of the village, this was designed by PDQ, is here with the main street
yep,
coming there, the corner of main church, the bistro being there.
great.
Shall I go through the interior or?
No, I don't, at the moment, I mean, so basically, you're gonna have a clear space, you're gonna be setting up what look like mostly deuces.
Correct, although we can join them because
Yeah.
right now if a group of 4 people comes
Okay.
in, we don't have a
Yeah, of
space to
course.
accommodate them. So that's basically what it is.
Any changes at all to the exterior?
No changes to the exterior nor to the interior.
Okay, no changes to signage or lighting on the outside of the building?
It's gonna be the same square footage.
Uh-huh,
The lighting is the same, it's been there for years.
yep,
No,
So where the sign is now, you're just gonna leave it?
correct.
Okay. And the only issue that I see that we'll need to discuss before we approve this is parking. For which we have, you know, guidelines by which we can consider that. So for tonight though, we're just trying to establish what it is you want to do. We make a determination of completeness and go through the steps. We do have to do a public hearing, Jack, but we should be able to do that very soon.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
I didn't see a site plan, a plot plan for this. Is that just me, or?
Yeah, this is what we have.
Just a floor plan?
A floor plan, because there is no actual changes to the building, and
Well, the only
at
thing
some level,
is,
I'm not sure why we're even
me too,
seeing this.
absolutely.
It is an expansion of an existing business into a retail space that already exists with no changes to the exterior of the building.
The only change comes in the parking.
Is parking the thing that triggers us having to see this?
Is it less parking or more parking because he went to the restaurant?
It's probably more parking compared to the retail, but I'd have to check the
I'm
code,
not
the
sure
schedule to
about
see
that,
that.
yeah.
Well, consider the following, that the parking, most of our clientele on nice day during warm weather was sitting on the patio anyway. When the weather is inclement or
Right.
whatever, they're going to be sitting inside. So the number of parking probably won't change significantly. My understanding with the parking is that at this point, it is treated as the entire village can use the common parking. So basically the parking, whether it was for these customers who are going to be now sitting here, in addition there might be 5, 10 more, they still be using the same parking. So I'm not quite sure how that affects
I'm not-
the rest of it.
Yeah. Are your hours of operation changing?
They probably will, but at this point they are not.
Okay.
I mean, there is the slow period in the winter, so
Right.
we're probably just going to go with that. and
You're
then-
primarily breakfast and lunch, right? Or-
We are breakfast and lunch, but we might, since we're going to have a bigger space inside, we might expand, into lunch and dinner. We're not
Okay.
quite sure yet about that.
Okay.
I mean, it's already been approved for parking for
I know.
retail and
I know.
the luncheon, so it can't be that big of a change.
Dave, if I could, why is this in front of us? What triggered it that it needs to come to the planning board? If you know.
I don't think I've discussed that with the building inspector.
Okay. All right.
Trying to remember if I recommended it was a site plan.
The only thing might be the
I
change.
may
There's a
have
change in use
recommended that
going
it
on.
was a site plan because of the extension of use.
But business change of use didn't,
It's expanding the use.
but a business change of use used to be and did not require planning board review.
Right.
And I'm not sure what in our code changed that triggered that.
I have no idea.
And I don't know that it did.
You don't think under the 212 modifications of 2013, 212?
I thought that was primarily, I thought that was for residential.
I thought there was some clause in there about
Okay.
change of use.
All right, well, here we are. So let's, I have no problem deeming this to be complete for the purposes that it covers. I don't, maybe we need to change this from a site plan review to a change of business expansion of a restaurant review.
So, yeah. So I'm saying if it was a site plan review without a site plan, what the heck is that? So it can't be a site plan review, there is no site plan to review.
Right, so,
I agree with you, I don't know why it's in front of us, I don't understand why it's in front of us.
Initially, I believe the building inspector looked at it and said, it looks to me like a continuous use and it doesn't look difficult.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how the rest of it suddenly became
Yeah.
a little more elaborate.
So here's the thing, you're not,
So, and the 212-23 standard is that its issuance of a building permit is contingent upon the, in essence, the site plan. So I
Okay.
think that there is a site plan running with the, if we're saying that there's a site plan running with the land, now you're modifying the site plan, so you're seeing a modified site plan. That's my presumption of how building inspector is.
okay.
But we're not
Oh, because
We're
we're
not
not
modifying the site
modifying.
But we're not modifying the site plan.
All that's happening is that the business.
Modifying
It's
the use.
expanding the use within the existing building.
Right. There is no actual
So the
modification.
building is not the site, interior of the building.
For our purposes, I mean, the planning board doesn't generally oversee the specifics of what happens internally. But here, you have no construction requirements.
Correct.
I mean, you've got some shelving and things that, but nothing's happening to the site until the end of December anyway, right?
Right.
Okay. The current tenant is in there through pretty much the end of December.
Right.
All right, so we have at least one more, if not two more meetings before then. I propose that we look at this as not a site plan and talk to the building inspector about whether or not we need to approve this at all, and if we do, can we approve it under some conditions where we don't have to go through a public hearing and all of that, because it's not actually a site plan change. In the meantime, I'm happy to go ahead and determine this complete, finish seeker, determine about county referral, and set a public hearing for 2 weeks from now, with the understanding that none of that may be necessary. That way you're not held up.
And Michael, is there still an outstanding question about the parking requirement? Is that on that list that you just mentioned?
I
Or do
think-
we feel as though the existing or past retail is already qualified there and we don't need to?
Well, we can check the schedule, C, I think is what it is, and look at off-site, look at parking requirements.
Okay.
We certainly have, I mean, I'm not sure that I would fairly say you've got seasonal patio seating that's moving indoors, because once May comes, people will be sitting outside again, right?
Correct.
And you'll still be sitting inside.
Well, I don't think if it's nice, people will want to sit inside if they can sit outside. But, you know,
So-
some might.
Some might,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure that I can
Right.
give you some credit for that. I'm not sure we could necessarily, we're making certain assumptions there. And we'd have to check against the retail. I don't know, the retail's usually done by floor space, so the square footage of the retail allows for requires X amount of parking.
And then restaurant is by number of.
Restaurants by
Tables.
number of
Seats. Seats.
yeah. So we can resolve that.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's.
I would have a question more for the building inspector,
Yep.
and that is the existing, given the additional seating, and it's now, instead of being retail, it's now someplace that needs a bathroom, is the existing bathroom sufficient for an eating establishment?
He
Okay.
said that it is.
He did?
He
Okay.
just said that it's compliant with that.
Okay, good.
That would be my only.
So, okay, so I make a motion that we determine this application complete, that it falls under the exemption of not having to send this to the Ulster County Planning Board. It is considered a type 2 action, so there's no further seeker required. That we tentatively set a public hearing for December the 1st?
8th?
No, Tuesday the 1st. First meeting, Tuesday the 1st. At 7 p.m. If necessary, and in the meantime, we discuss with the building inspector whether or not
This actually is a site plan amendment that requires all of these steps in the first place. And if it requires our approval, but is not a site plan, then we will do that at our next meeting, et cetera, et cetera. That's my motion.
Second.
Is that-
So moved.
Okay, do you want to discuss this? You're pondering this.
I mean, he's got to send out the notices to all the people for the public hearing that may not exist.
How many days does he
He's got
have?
to do that 10 days before December 1st,
Okay,
according to the,
all right, well, how about this? Our second meeting in December is on
It's on the 20th.
December the 15th,
Yeah.
right? It's the first and
Yeah.
third Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on December the 15th, why don't we set the public hearing for the 15th
I'd be more
instead?
comfortable with that.
Amend the
That gives
motion
us
to
one
that.
meeting to take care of this little
Right,
in-house stuff.
and if it's still an issue and you need to go through this, and if you hold the public hearing on the 15th, you're not losing any time.
Okay, and when will the determination be made if we need to go through the public hearing? So I'll know if I have to send the letters and so on, basically.
You have to send letters before the public.
So here's the steps.
Right.
No, you know that. So here's the steps. We'll talk to the building inspector tomorrow or later this week. If the determination is that the planning board doesn't actually need to be involved, you don't need to see us again.
Okay.
You'll be in touch with Brian. The second possibility is that we can handle this on our December 1st meeting as an item on our agenda. We'll call it a business change of use or expansion, and that we can consider approval then. The third option is that we have to treat it as a site plan amendment, and we'll hold the public hearing on the 15th, which means no later than 10 days before the 15th or December the 5th, you'll have to be taking care of all of that stuff. But you'll know all of that well in advance.
Great.
Okay?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your patience. I hope we can,
And we can take action the night of the public hearing.
yes, absolutely. So, okay?
Great.
All right, thanks, Jack. Thank you for waiting around too.
You also have the most colorful application we've had in a long time.
It's great.
Beautiful.
Okay, so before you leave,
Okay.
there's I mean, you can go,
There's a
but we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion about it?
But excuse me, is the motion changed now that we've pushed the public hearing to the 15th?
The amendment to the motion is that everything stands except the hearing, the public hearing would be December 15th at
Don't-
7 o'clock.
So moved.
Okay, that's the motion. We have a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right, Christina, if you didn't get all that, that's okay. We'll sort it out. Okay, we're almost done here, folks.
Just do it as door clock.
Um,
The clock's over here.
Okay, for the next item, Rich Steffens, you need to leave the table because it's an approval of an extension for 181 Huguenot Street, the Jewett family farm.
Oh, okay,
And-
good, I've done that anyway.
Bill, if you come up, that'd be great. Over here, if you don't mind, that'd be great.
All right, and Bill?
Get the bathroom. All right, we're gonna take a couple minute break here until Liz gets back, but that actually gives me time to update you guys.
Sure.
Which is good. So, I don't think either of you are aware of this project. So, going all the way back to May, there's a large, nearly 100-acre parcel of land on Huguenot Street that's been, has a conservation easement on it. It's currently owned by the Jewett family. So this property was, because of the conservation easement, there were restrictions on the ability to subdivide. Yes. And working with the Walker Valley Land Trust, who holds the easement, the property owner, who's among whom is Heidi Jewett, who lives locally, she engaged Brooks and Brooks help them create a subdivision. And so what's happened is that there's a just under 10.5 acre parcel that it contains the house in the front. If you walk by this, you're on the street, a large, very large yellow barn, and then another outbuilding. And they're proposing to carve that one out, separate from the 90+ acres in the rear that would be purely agricultural. And then they've tried for several years since the owner of the property died, Warren Jewett, to sell this as a unit, and they've been unsuccessful. A young couple who are farmers from Columbia County offered to purchase the rear part, but they didn't want this part. And
So everything, we're talking from the cemetery line to there, okay.
yeah, so this is actually a separate lot.
Mhm.
We're talking about what's within here.
Okay,
So this dark blue line is the property, and then the subdivision is the red-orange line here.
thank you.
So that's the 10.5 acre parcel. This got very complicated because a small portion is in the town,
Right,
in the front, no, I'm sorry, a small portion is in the village. Most of it is in the town, but the town had no access to the rear except through the village.
right,
And so we had several joint meetings, and so this is part of the rear lot,
right.
and a tiny piece of the 10 acre parcel is also in the town. Most of it's in the village. So,
This is the line, okay.
so what happened was, all of this was done, the subdivision was approved. The town approved it, the village approved it, and the applicant and her professionals have 90 days per the law to submit the subdivision, file it with the county to make it legal. The further complication is that because this is all being done through changes with the Wallkill Valley Land Trust and changes to the easement, they could only do this if there was a public benefit in return. And the public benefit is they're proposing a trail along the Wallkill on the western edge of the property that will connect up to the existing Nyquist Harcourt Sanctuary to the south. And the terms of the trail easement, as well as the filing of the subdivision, the proper method of doing it, if I understand this right from from Patty's letter, these things were held up because the conservation easement doesn't reflect, the changes to the conservation easement don't reflect the final here, as well as the fact that they have to indicate in the conservation easement that the subdivision can occur and can be filed. So all they're asking for tonight is an extension of 90 days by basically reapproving the subdivision tonight. Sorry.
No,
okay.
I got it, it's all right.
And then authorizing the chairman to sign a new set of plans with new dates from which another 90 days will go forward.
At which time,
Within that period of time, they have to file, they have to file this with the county. So basically what we're being asked to do is to consider, we don't have new plans yet. They are going to submit those. Right, they haven't submitted those yet. They have to prepare those, and they have to prepare multiple copies, including copies on Mylar and all have to get signed. And the town has to go through this, and the town will do this in a couple of weeks. So that's the situation. We're just asking for reapproval of the already approved subdivision and authorization for me to sign. So.
punting for 90 days
That's it,
on
yeah.
something that's already been
Yeah.
thoroughly reviewed.
Our subdivision code allows for two 90-day extensions. And
This is number one.
this is number one, and Patty is confident that this is the only one.
She isn't gonna need a number two.
Okay, that's what she's saying, per her conversations with the land trust. Anyway, so
Yes.
that's it.
Confident in number one, but don't step in number two.
Okay, so with all of that background, I would move that we reapprove the subdivision of the lands of the Jewett family farm as per their map. I believe we actually have a resolution from our.
We do.
Right?
We do.
We do. I have to find it. Okay. So whereas the Jewett Family Farms, the motion is whereas the Jewett Family Farms LLC received conditional final subdivision approval by the Village of New Paltz Planning Board on August 7th, 2015, whereas the final subdivision plat has not been filed by the applicant because of the drafting of the revised conservation easement, whereas Section 178-15A of the Village Code provides that the approved plat must be filed with the Office of the County Clerk within 90 days of the date upon which the plat is approved, unless on good cause the planning board grants an extension, which may not exceed 2 additional periods of 90 days. And whereas the applicant has demonstrated good cause for an extension of the time in which to file the plat with the county clerk for an additional 90 days, it is hereby resolved by the Village of New Paltz Planning Board that the time in which the applicant must file the approved subdivision plat is extended from November 5th, 2015 to and including February 3rd, 2016. That needs to be corrected. And that's what I'm moving. Have any further? Okay, second? Second.
So moved, Bill.
Yes.
Bill.
Any further discussion? Okay.
No.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Michael, thanks for the explanation.
You're welcome. Thank you for indulging me.
Did you have me stepping down from the road there?
Now,
So, John Litton is absent. Rich Steffens abstained. The resolution needs to be corrected to say February 2016 and add Bill's name, please, as William Wheeler Murray. Right? That's correct. Okay.
is there any reason we should know why Rich refused from the vote?
I represent the seller.
Thank you.
Sure. There you go. Who gets the map? I'll take that back. Thanks. Thank you.
It happens once in a while.
I gotta go.
You gotta go back. Yeah, thank you
Just
very
want to
much.
make sure
My
I
water bottle.
did not know something I needed to know.
Yep. You're welcome to rejoin us.
I don't have my back towards anybody here.
You don't, so you can stay over there if you'd like. Okay. We have completed the first page and most of the second page. We have a draft stormwater law
Yeah, we do.
that we've been bouncing around, and let's get it off our table tonight if that's
Potato.
possible. All right. I'd like our objective to be to either send this with amendments or as is to the village board, or send it to them with questions. But let's see if we can move it forward. So Dave is here to help us see any questions that we want answers to.
I mean, it's nothing that I have expertise really.
Okay.
And so, and in reading it, it's nothing that I know a lot about either.
Okay.
So to have questions on it, no, I have none.
Okay.
Other than, I don't know what they're talking about.
Links to read.
I mean, it's, for me not to have an opinion is unusual.
Duly noted.
Duly noted.
Well, you guys had asked about typical homeowner activities, exemptions that, and would there be language to clarify impacts on homeowners?
Yeah, the only thing I found, the smallest parcel that this law considers is a half an acre or more. And the majority of, I can think of a handful of parcels. No, I take that back. Where they would be disturbing more than a half an acre. I mean, the parcels themselves would be larger, but I can't imagine them disturbing more than a half an acre. A handful at best. However, they do exist, so if those handful did decide to disturb, do we want something that covers that?
Well, there's no telling what's gonna go on with the annexation, the property we recently annexed up on the Millbrook.
Oh, yes, okay, yes, okay.
I don't know if
I
that has an
didn't even
official
think of that
name to it, but,
The Kniffen behind,
yeah.
Floyd's.
Based on the zoning that we have there, then yes, those half-acre lots. But aside from that, if we take a look at our current tax map, I'd be dare pressed to say there's more than 5 half-acre lots in the whole of the village that are residential.
And again, to Liz's point, it's only that the percentage that's being disturbed as a result of the project versus the size of the lot as a whole.
Just because it's a half-acre lot doesn't mean you're
Right.
disturbing the whole darn thing
I mean,
unless,
you would need a,
unless there was some sort of catastrophe, God forbid. We don't want more of those, so. But there's still the possibility that they're. I know we have a couple of parcels in the village that are like 2 acres.
Well, I own one that's 2/3 of an acre at the end of Grove Street, but it's all built out. So to disturb, nothing's gonna, there's no way to possibly disturb another half-acre of it.
But what I'm getting at is that there's still a couple of parcels within the village that are as big as maybe 2.5 acres that it's possible that they do want to disturb a half an acre or more. And do we want to create an addition to this that would cover that?
When you say cover, what do you mean?
Yeah. That would address them,
Exempt them, or?
that just would include them one way or the other.
But aren't they included by the fact that if it is a half acre or more of disturbance? I'm not sure.
You mean, do we want to include parcels that are less than a half an acre?
No, you're not.
Okay.
I guess I'm wording it incorrectly.
Okay.
I had to dust off my copy to catch up with you about that.
Okay.
listen,
I'm on page 7, Dave.
if I'm correct, 'cause I
Condition
think
B.
you're acknowledging that there could actually, based on the magnitude
Right,
of
but
disturbance,
what-
there
and-
could actually be properties affected by it, but I don't hear you saying we should exclude them or exempt them from it either.
No, I'm not saying exempt them. I'm saying, what about the properties where they, I guess I should have said the properties that are less than that, but are of significant disturbance.
So, related to that, Dave, I have a question.
Are we gonna care about anything that of less than a half an acre? For example, is if it's 0.45 acres that are being disturbed, which, if you think, slightly less than a half an acre, that's, they're disturbing a lot.
So we're still.
What I'm saying is
we're specifically speaking to whether or not they're subject to the water quality standards, correct?
Right.
Now, and you do have a standard that other properties shall not be subject to flooding, and that hasn't been removed. It's essentially you're managing the stormwater on the site to make sure that there's not off-site flooding. But that doesn't go to the question about water quality standard. And then there's also the land development thresholds for smaller areas where you submit the erosion and sediment control plan, but the water quality standards aren't applicable.
So,
You follow me?
so maybe that'll answer my question, but let me ask this. So on page 4, you have suggested modifications to 21223B, where there it refers to land disturbance exceeding 5,000 square feet. and the amount of impervious cover created is 1,000 square feet or more than a stormwater pollution prevention plan is required. And my confusion is that there are thresholds there, but then on page 7, what Liz was talking about, there's a condition of disturbing half or more acres
Right, there seems to
related to
be a
land
gap.
development activities.
Right.
Now, are we talking about two different outcomes or two different things? Why is one
Talking about
5,000?
we're talking about two tiers.
Okay,
We're talking about we're talking about a land development activity, and that's a definition on page 2.
right.
Threshold that is replicated, I believe it's on the page 4 that you spoke of within the 212-23B3,
E.
B2 and B3, I and E respectively.
Okay,
And then you've got the standards also for water quality standard. That's another tier, another threshold or trigger.
Okay.
okay. All right, so the lower number, 5,000 square feet and 1,000 square feet of impervious surface created falls into the definition of land development activity.
That's correct.
Okay.
And it sets the basic standard for submission of
Okay, switch. Okay. And then if you, as a result of land development activities, if you're disturbing even more, half an acre or more, then there are additional conditions that set it.
correct.
Okay, got it.
And
Thank
it
you.
seemed like there was a question on the floor whether, or maybe it's been answered, whether you go below that half acre for water quality. Is that the question or not?
No, you answered it.
Okay.
So, you're speechless.
I'm speechless.
It's the second
And
time
by
you're
the way,
speechless tonight.
I said that I would provide I think
Yep.
there was the question of when we were triggered to become MS4, and I think I said that that was a US Census standard.
Yeah. Yeah, you said
We rec-
2010.
And we received notice from the New York State DEC in May of 2013 that we were an MS4, and I have this documentation for you. I forgot to email it earlier in the week, so I brought copies, 2 copies for whoever wants them, of that letter triggering entry into the MS4 program from May 2013, our initial notice of intent, our stormwater management program, and our first annual report.
Okay.
And those lay out essentially the notice of intent as well as the stormwater management program, lay out how this community within 3 years will achieve capability in managing stormwater across these 6 minimum control measures. And you might remember last time, Gesundheit, we talked about one of the minimum control measures being, for example, public education and outreach, and I don't know if that's exactly how it's phrased.
Right.
So I have for you 2 copies, if you want, of those 4 documents.
Okay.
And then I can do what I said I would do. I'll send it to everyone on the planning board electronically.
Yeah,
so
that
you have
would
it,
be good.
okay?
Okay. So, with my questions answered, I don't have any, thank you, Dave.
Thanks.
So can I ask, so it doesn't sound like you have any questions. I was charged with meeting with the village engineer on this topic. I haven't had that meeting yet.
Okay.
I've attempted to arrange it. I'm meeting with the building inspector, who is your stormwater officer, also to develop other associated code, such as, and I think I introduced you to this topic, that, for example, I would present to you a proposal for change in subdivision code that links to zoning, so that when you have a subdivision, there's a requirement at the sketch and the,
Right.
at
Yeah, you've said-
excuse me, the preliminary and final plan,
Yep.
that you have a compliant stormwater plan with things like road developments within subdivisions.
Yep.
And then there's also standards that we would, I'll orchestrate with the village engineer and, but also with the building inspector about compliance.
Yeah.
How you do inspections, how
Right,
you're.
enforcement.
Yes, enforcement.
Yep.
So, I'm continuing to progress with them, so it sounds like if you're okay, you could start this process, I suppose, and refer it up to the village board. However, I might even ask that you keep it in abeyance at this point, and, sequentially, I'll bring you the other pieces of what I think are a fuller picture. And then I think the other thing was, it sounded like we were moving towards some training. I know there was discussion with Ulster County about a training, and
Right.
so I hadn't heard a lot recently on that, but that was
Yeah, I hadn't
developing
either.
too.
So you had said at a previous meeting that you were hoping to get, if, correct me if I'm wrong, you were hoping to get this to the village board in January?
Conceivably in January, I think I
Okay.
said, figuring that I would do things like present to you notions for subdivision
So
and
why don't we
also-
just do that? Why don't we
Okay.
just hold, we'll put this aside, we don't need to revisit it until you have
I think it'll
new
be
documents for
better
us.
to deal with it, sort of. I'm giving you
Okay.
pieces and I'm
Okay,
testing.
Right, right.
But, and we're making progress against our milestones,
And
but I
then-
have other pieces to put
All right,
into
well,
this
so let's just,
configuration.
So you wanna have the whole apple before you,
I'd like to
Got
have a wholer apple rather than this
Okay.
big bite that we've taken to
Yeah.
develop
So-
our capacities.
so before we,
Makes
go ahead.
sense.
Go
Now,
ahead.
just a question about, procedurally, are we, as a planning board, approving the advancement of this?
Nope.
No.
Well,
We're-
I'm sorry, I'll be quiet, go ahead.
No, that's okay. We're Q&Aing, we're learning. We're ultimately going to have to incorporate this into some of our procedure moving forward once it's approved. But this isn't an approval process on the part of the planning board. Okay.
Well,
I just wanted to understand our role vis-a-vis.
No, but we're looking to send this up to the village board with our stamp of
But
approval.
what does send this
or
up mean?
So,
Send it up to them.
go ahead.
So in zoning, I should know the section.
Oh, it's okay, it's at the very end.
Zoning has a process how by you augment zoning. So it was considering that you're the planning board and you deal with items of long range and development in the community, within this process of developing changes in zoning, changes can start at the planning board that then you make the ultimate adopting authority is the village board, but it can start with the planning board and a recommendation to the village board to consider it. So I just thought, since
Sort
you're
of a
gonna
vetting,
be,
if you will.
in a sense, administering and applying
Yeah.
these laws, that I might as well work with you to,
So,
to develop a process.
so to expand on that, if the village board in some other fashion decides that they want to change a portion of the zoning code, they can begin that process there, but they are required by our code to submit it to us. And we have, whatever, 30 days or something to weigh in on it, to get legal counsel's opinion, to get our planner's opinion, et cetera, and then send that back to them with our recommendations. Which are not binding, but they are. But it can also operate this way, where we can initiate the process, so to speak, of recommendations. We've certainly done that in
My
less
experience
complicated.
is that on matters of land development,
Yeah.
the village board says, what is the planning board?
Right,
say?"
so we might as well start with us.
Got it.
So when we send this to them, at a certain level, we're approving it. However, if they make substantive changes, they'll need to send it back to us.
Refer it back.
But-
You don't still go to county planning.
Yeah, and it still goes to county, and they'll hold the public hearing and so forth.
Thanks.
Sure. So at this point, I'm not hearing from anybody that there's any need to change any of the language in the model law as tweaked by Dave. So for now, then, we're okay with this?
Yeah.
All right, and we'll wait for the additional parts, and we'll continue this discussion when you have those.
The subdivision is a pretty small piece. So
Okay.
I will try to advance that, and then, like I said, I'm meeting
Okay.
with Brian, and we're working on the next part of it, administration and enforcement and all that.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
So, thank you very
Do
much.
you want these? Should I give, do you want me to keep them in a file?
Yeah, why don't you keep those for now? And the electronic will be fine.
I just, at what point, yeah, if I'll take a copy and I'll give it back if you want it. My biggest concern, I guess, is, was there a specific date that, poof, we are now officially, an MS4 municipality?
Excellent. So, we received our NOI in, did I say it was?
You said it was May
May
2013.
2013. I think we had, was it half a year to get our NOI in, and then I think we had 3 years from that. So our, I believe our NOI is providing for, I think, I believe our NOI, our notice of intent, is providing for things being done by the end of 2016. So we have another,
We're not officially a blessed MS4 until that's done?
and it's my understanding that you build capacity in the first 3 years, and then you become an MS4, and you're supposed to be conversant as an MS4 at that point. So that's why I've jumped in and tried to
Hence the
Okay,
PowerPoint.
so-
help
Yeah,
Brian
exactly.
administer this
So we're
program.
like an apprentice MS4 municipality.
Interns, we're interns.
Interns, there we go.
I think that's generally correct. I
Okay.
haven't studied that May 2017 letter that much, but that's how I understand.
Okay.
Okay. It's
A year can go by pretty quick, is my experience.
Oof.
getting late, folks.
But we're definitely making progress with a lot of aspects of
No, you've
public
done a lot.
education and a model law and setting up for the other parts.
Great.
Including, for example, outfall inventory, and then measures like good housekeeping practices over at DPW, trainings for them. So we're ticking off, I think, across the spectrum of minimum control measures. There's those 6 sort of elements of expertise in stormwater management that we develop, land development being essentially one of them.
Okay, thank you. So, we have one set of minutes from the 3rd of November to approve. Everybody who's here was there. If you have any changes to those?
I had a couple tiny things that I circled on here, Christina, and I can give you, but one just question was, for example, in the new application, determination of completeness for Mike Beck's 1518, the opening paragraph, which was Mr. Beck's description, refers to the businesses as opposed to the addresses, and maybe it's, for example, Manny's and Mexicali Blue.
Yeah.
Maybe it's helpful for in paren to indicate the addresses that those refer to as opposed to the names of the businesses, is that
I think that's a good idea.
Or in parentheses, the parcel.
the other way around, right? Or do, one,
The addresses, I think, is what we should have.
yeah,
Um,
or parcel, whatever. But I just think it would be not necessarily just more formal, but also
in the future.
someday Manny's won't be
Right,
there. and-
20 years down the road, somebody
Right,
will
may
know
not
what
be
you're
that
talking
business.
about.
So maybe that's just general,
No,
like,
it's a good idea.
and then I have a couple little circles on here, Christina, I'll give you, just arrow
Okay.
them.
Oh my God, another editor. We have another editor on the
No,
board?
we don't have another editor, we only have one editor.
So with those amendments, motion to approve the minutes from 11/3/2015.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, quickly, another piece of administrative business. I want to apologize personally for all of the last-minute documents coming in this week. We're still working on procedure and how to most efficiently, or not even most efficiently, but how to run this board behind the scenes, between meetings. And so I had set up this process of having an agenda-setting meeting on the Tuesday between each of our meetings, so the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And after doing 2 of those, and Liz came to the one that we did for this meeting, it occurred to me that having them on those Tuesdays is probably later than we should be doing it, because lots of decisions get made at those meetings, and then there's a real rush to get the agenda out by Christina and to collect documents. And so I'm proposing that we actually have this agenda-setting meeting the day after our meeting. That is on Wednesday, on the first and third Wednesday of the month. So we have a meeting tonight, and then tomorrow we would have the agenda-setting meeting for
And then that would
December
give
1st.
the secretary and everybody else that's doing paperwork.
It sounds exhausting to me, but after, so the alternative.
Yeah, but then you'd have the alternate weeks free.
Right, so the alternative would be to do it on Thursday, but the concern still is that Christina is currently working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And if we have the meeting on Thursday morning and there are things that she needs to get from people, she has no work days until the following Tuesday. So the objective is, so the thought is we would hold the meeting in the afternoon around 1 or 2 o'clock. I think you had suggested 2. And the meetings have been running about 2 hours. We're trying to figure out how to cut them down, but so far, I don't know why they take 2 hours, but the goal is to have it to an hour. And if we do it if we do it very soon after this, then Christina has time, Dave has time to prepare memos. We have time to make sure that we get materials from ongoing applicants, and so hopefully that'll avoid this problem of all of these last minute things coming in as well. So that's the plan.
May I
Sure.
comment? The only reservation I have about having it on a Wednesday is that if there's any decision made by the village board that would affect what the planning board, that might.
Well, okay, but we could do that on that doesn't happen too often.
True,
So we
yeah.
could do that on a case-by-case basis. If we knew there was something pending, then maybe we'd postpone the meeting until Thursday. That's a good idea, thank you.
That's the only reservation I would have about Wednesday versus Thursday, but then if it's Thursday.
Yeah, we can be flexible about it. It's not a meeting we have to announce, it's not a quorum.
You said the intent is to avoid late paper delivery or late document delivery. Does that mean we're actually going to not allow late document delivery? So when,
Yes.
you know, an applicant shows up with an easement yesterday, does it still make the packet?
No.
Or, so we're going to sort of start to really enforce that.
I need to tighten that down. Some of the.
That's going to be a change management.
Okay, I got an opinion.
Excellent, do you want to come around this side?
Marty, you've been doing a great job
Well,
since
thank
you
you very much.
took over. And under our last chairman, we did have a drop dead, we didn't get it, we didn't discuss it.
Yep.
Policy. Doesn't make for a very friendly board in terms of the community.
Yep.
Doesn't make for a very expedient board in terms of getting certain
Getting it
small issues off the table. But yet, there have been times when stuff's been submitted where even I've said I haven't had a chance to study it yet.
Right.
It's coming too later. And I think we need a drop dead date so that we have something that we can turn to if we need it.
Yep.
But is it a hard and fast rule? I don't think it should be. I think if you see something come in at the last minute and you want it on the agenda, send it out to us.
Clearly, I have been doing that,
Well,
for better or worse.
Yep.
you have my support on that, and if I can't read it in time and I can't act on it in time, I will let you know, and obviously
So,
it's not gonna go very far if we all can't act on it, but I think we have to have a little bit of ability to be more resilient to some of the problems that the community has in terms of the fact that we only meet
Well,
twice a month.
I have nothing against a little wiggle room, but right now we have so much wiggle room it's flapping in the breeze.
Fair enough. And I think.
Well, that's why, I like the idea of a drop dead date, it's just, you don't have to use it if you don't need it. So if you feel you do.
So, what I'm hearing is that we should have, we need to set some dates that applicants have to have materials in by.
Right.
But we would like to acknowledge that there are circumstances where it might make sense not to hold an application up for another 2 or 3 weeks. But we cannot be arbitrary and capricious about this. We can't do this for somebody that.
It's a tough one. That's tough, yeah.
Because
Who gets it,
otherwise.
who doesn't?
Right? So, that's tricky.
But it's not tricky if you look at it in terms of the complexity of the issue that's there.
Well, that's,
If it's a very simple, easy, something that we can
But,
digest
but
quickly,
we
we
could
can do
still
it
be
quickly.
accused of being arbitrary and capricious.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Flexibility and arbitrary.
so here, there are different circumstances, probably many of them which came up in this, in advance of this meeting. So, okay, so let me back up a second. So, we have a policy that for new applications, well, for any application, stuff's supposed to be in 2 weeks before the meeting.
Right.
Yep.
And I would argue that that should absolutely be the case for new applications.
Applications themselves, new
A
application.
new application has to be in and stamped by the building department as received 2 weeks before the meeting. So anything that we're gonna look at on December 1st would have to have already been in by today. New applications, something we haven't seen, subdivisions, site plans, whatever. And if something comes in tomorrow and it's a new application, then it will be on the second meeting of December. It would be on this one. If we have an ongoing application and we ask the applicant at the meeting to provide us with stuff, then we can't, it doesn't make sense to
Right.
hold them to a 2 week.
Okay.
Right, and in general, we haven't done that under previous chairs as well. But I think it would be wise to set haven't done it routinely, so it would be wise to set a specific date by which people have to have, for ongoing applications, have to have materials in. And we can decide what makes sense. Part of the reason why I had originally chosen the following Tuesday was to give people a chance to get those materials in. On the other hand, having gone through this a couple times now, it makes more sense to me to hold this meeting early with an understanding from the meeting tonight that, or on any given night, that materials will be in by whatever we decide. Friday of the same week, at close of business, or something like that. Or Monday of the following close of business, whatever makes sense, so that Christina will have the materials in time to compile the packets and get them out on, like, typically on Tuesday of the following week, so that we would actually have our packets in their entirety a week before the meeting. Okay. So that's kind of what I would propose. And then, I'm trying to think of some examples. So, the circumstance with not getting the easement on the PB 1518 until today was not our responsibility. That was that was because of things that happened that had to do with the applicant and so forth. We didn't have to accept it. We could have held it off. But my feeling was that this was, because we're dealing with relatively minor site plans now as well as much more substantial things, and because of the close window for construction, it seemed crazy to wait another 2 weeks just because an easement came in. And in fact, we had a backup plan, which was the original resolution would have said, we are approving this conditional on receiving this easement between the property owners, and only then would I sign the site plan, and only then would the building department get it. So that is a backup that helps reduce this arbitrary and capricious argument. So I guess with that in mind then, just to recap, so I'm proposing that we have an agenda setting meeting on the first and third Wednesdays of the month for the following meeting, which is roughly 2 weeks after that, at, what's good for you and you guys? Is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, what's better?
We can always go at 1:30.
That's
1 o'clock's good. I mean, and I may not be in person.
Uh-huh.
We decided to rotate
Yes.
participation at those, right?
I mean,
And Christina, you can own a master calendar of that, I would hope, and
is 1 o'clock a problem for lunch or things
A
of that
little
sort?
bit, yeah. That's
Okay,
why I
so
stated
why don't we say
1:30 or
1:30?
2. Okay.
Does that work for
But
you?
tomorrow is at 2 o'clock, correct? That, I have a,
Sure,
An
because we already
obligation.
set it for 2, so sure. And that materials for new applications have to be in as currently exists 2 weeks before then, and that new materials for ongoing applications need to be in by, what makes sense for you, Christina? The Friday after the meeting, or the Monday, close of business, it's up to you.
Well, I come in on Tuesday, so maybe the Thursday, is that too much to ask? Did they get it in that Thursday, so I can,
So you would like to have all of the ongoing materials by Thursday so that you could look at stuff?
yeah,
But
because
it-
you want it sent out Tuesday.
But it wouldn't be close of business Thursday, because then you still wouldn't have time to
Still
look
would
at
have
it.
to look at it.
So you'd have to say close of business Wednesday.
So that's not really giving anybody much time, that basically gives them a day.
Right.
I mean, if you're
Yeah.
expecting the materials, okay, so let's say this. Let's say the materials have to be in by close of business the following Monday.
And then that,
And you have Tuesday to look at stuff, and your goal is to have the packet out to us by either the end of the day on Tuesday or at the latest midday Wednesday.
Okay.
Does that give you enough time?
We'll be organic with it, see how.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay.
yeah, and in the context of this conversation, I want to be frank, I do my homework like Monday night, you know, so while it's, I think what we're striving toward is a really good administrative cycle.
Yeah. No, I understand. People may
Let's
not look
be
at this
real.
stuff until the weekend
We'll
before.
be real and we'll be user-friendly to the village, to the residents.
Yeah, that's fine, but I think it's important that, I mean, it isn't just you all, part of what it is when Christina sends her packet out, it goes to our attorney. He needs a day or two to
digest
review the
it.
materials, to have discussions with you if necessary. You need to see the packet with enough time to, I mean, you're more involved in the process, but hopefully your comments are done before the packet goes out, right? So your letters and so forth, that's the goal. So we want to give you enough time to do it. But George, he follows up with a meeting memo and resolutions and so forth, so he needs those, and those will always come to us.
get it
after
to
the
them
fact.
quicker. Yeah.
And, you know, from my point of view, I have to say, I need broader spans of time where I know that the planning board stuff is done and I don't have to think about it for a few days. This 2-week period was crazy, and so I can't continue to operate this way for long.
Good.
So that's part of it. It's a little bit selfish. So in terms of attending, Liz attended the last one. It seemed to be worthwhile. And I was just proposing that we go alphabetically. But John isn't here tonight, so.
Well, didn't John go to?
No, John did not. He went to a meeting we had last night that if you all agree, maybe we'll talk about in executive session.
Oh, that's the one that I was thinking of. The
Yeah.
email about
Well, it happens that I can attend tomorrow.
Okay, so you could, you'd be next on the list.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you available tomorrow at 2 o'clock? Yes. Do you want to come tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay, so then,
By the way, when we have discussions like this, shouldn't Bill be in on them, even though he's an alternate? He doesn't have a vote. But,
Yeah, of course.
but it's just sitting back there again. You know,
I like this chair.
No, you're, absolutely.
In terms, no, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm trying to make eye contact with you too. I don't
No,
want you
I'm-
to feel.
There's another thing that we asked me.
Okay. Okay, so then you'll attend tomorrow. We meet here at 2 o'clock.
Sure.
Try to meet in one of these meeting rooms, and we'll set the agenda for the meeting of December 1st. We'll see how it goes. Okay, at this point, I don't think we have any new applications. So what we would be doing is the PB 1502, 16 North Chestnut Street, we'll have to do seeker on that. That's the Goodwill Church. And then hopefully, if they submit their materials, which is the final site plan, then we'll hopefully be able to wrap that up. Presumably, we will have something more from Sylvia and Richard for PB 1520. And we'll have maybe something for Jack Gordon for PB 1519, or maybe it'll be resolved. And at this point, that's it. Pretty simple.
did you just have the agenda meeting?
No. No, the agenda.
It sounded like it to me.
I was gonna be that smart aleck, and I said,
No, the
I said-
meetings are, the reason the meetings
Michael's
take
on a
2
roll.
hours,
That
Let
was
him
the
go.
pre-agenda
besides
meeting.
donuts and coffee.
Donuts and coffee, that's
All
what
that, there's a lot more discussion. Okay, but anyway, the point is that's hopefully a pretty light agenda.
Got it.
So, I know it's late. I feel like it's kind of important
Yes.
to get you guys into executive session to update you, so I'm asking that we go, hold on, I lost my agenda. That we go into executive session to discuss 2 matters. One, to discuss matters related to proposed or possible litigation, and also to discuss matters leading to the possible employment of an individual or corporation. I don't expect that we're going to take any action. If we do, I will note it. Otherwise, we'll come out of executive session and then adjourn. So, motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
You got to fight over it.
You got it,
Pick
Liz.
somebody, it doesn't matter.
All in favor?
Hey.
And Bill, you're welcome to join us. Thank you, Dave, for everything tonight.
Thank you.
Sorry to keep you so late.
And I'll get those.
Yeah, please get those.
For you to sign.
Yeah, get me anything you want. Actually,
Unless you want to sign something.
let me sign a couple things now. You can shut down everything. And I asked if you could go get some materials from your desk downstairs.
Yes.
You need it in blue or black, or it doesn't matter? I don't think the color matters.
Didn't you get a stamp for those things?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm not contagious, honest.
Okay.
This is allergies.
You have okay, this needs to have some changes to it, and then we have honest,
We've got to make sure we shut this
so
down.
that will need.
Okay. Why don't you